Hello, gentle viewers. This is Indian, welcoming you back to Tabletop Simulator and Uwe Rosenberg's Hallertau. Hallertau is part of Bavaria in Germany, and it's apparently centered around the city of Ingolstadt. And before you think I'm an expert on Bavarian life, that's right here. It tells you right here what it is. It's also the first place, apparently, to produce hops, and it's the biggest hops producing area in all of Germany. Although I did know right away that the game was about Bavaria because I recognized the flag from playing EU4. And EU3, I guess, which is actually where I first saw the flag. So, anyway, this is a farming game, which comes as no surprise, given that Uwe Rosenberg's possibly most notable tile is the quintessential farming game Agricola, for 1 to 4 players, and it is published by Lookout Games. Okay. Before we get started, a couple things about this game that I think are worth noting. I have been digging around in my brain with the idea of whether I would rather play this or Agricola. And I'm going to talk about this more at the end of the video too, especially because this is going to be my 4th or 5th play of it, and I want to really give that a good hard think about it. But it's undoubtedly an easier play than Agricola. There's no question it's much more streamlined. There's less to consider, not in a bad way, but in the game itself is more straightforward. It's shorter. That's also indisputable. I could see a max player Agricola, which I think is 4 players, going something like 3 hours. This game is not going to take 3 hours, even with 4 players. But yeah, we'll talk more about the obvious comparison a bit later on. A comparison that I want to revisit when we play Agricola, All Creatures Great and Small. So all Creatures Big and Small, which we'll be covering in a few weeks. I want to push that one down the road a bit so I'm not playing farming games too quickly. The other thing I want to mention about this game before we even start playing it, it is a masterclass in player scaling. Player scaling refers to making a game that's fun to play at multiple different player counts. And possibly the classic example of a game that doesn't do well with player scaling is something like War of the Ring. I love War of the Ring at 2 players. I could maybe tolerate it at 3 players, especially if I took the 1 player side to help teach other people how to play the game. But 4 player War of the Ring just seems to get really long and kind of irritating. If you want a 4 player war game, there's just better choices. Like, I even play Classic Risk before I play War of the Ring with 4 people, I think. I think it'd just be too chaotic. On the flip side, Hansa Teutonica, which we're going to be covering next week, is a dumpster fire at 2 players. I'm hoping the Britain map is a little better for that purpose because when I bought the game and played with my wife, as I generally do, and it was just terrible. It was not remotely fun in any way with 2 players, and I'll talk more about that when we actually cover that game next week. None of those issues happen with Hallertau. It's great at 1 player, 2 player, 3 player, and 4 player. All the player counts, it's very easy, it's very simple, it just takes a bit longer with more players. That's it. Really tremendous. So, you're probably done hearing me talk about playing the game without actually playing the game. I just wanted one final thing here. The manual is quite large, but if you notice this lovely little index card made by the mod creator here, about 8 pages of it are just detailed descriptions of the cards. And 90% of the cards, heck, maybe 95% of them, don't even need to look them up. The card itself tells you what you need to know. But there are a couple of them, admittedly, which are a bit more fuzzy. Right. Today we're going to be playing the solo version. Both because it's how the mod works. It only counts players that are sitting down, but also because it's easier for me to do a one-player game if the game is well designed for it. That's the tricky part, if the game is well designed for it. Teotihuacan, another great solo game that I enjoyed playing solo and didn't mind trying to play multiplayer. I'm trying to think of another example. Wingspan, which I also played on the channel using the Automa, is also quite enjoyable as a solo mode. But then there's some games where it's just like, it's actually harder to play the game solo than it is to play it multiplayer. And in retrospect, I should have just played Churchill, now that I think about it. I should have just played Churchill as a 3-player game. But I didn't. I tried to use the solo version, and I think that's why the game bogged down. Speaking of bogging down and not bogging down, we're just going to go ahead and talk about the game itself now. So the game is divided into 6 rounds, each composed of 10 phases. If 10 phases sounds like a lot, don't worry about that. I'm just moving this closer to my board. Because only 4 and 9 involve actual decision making. Everything else is pretty much maintenance. It's housekeeping. And it goes by super fast. You're going to spend probably about 70% of the game in phase 4, 25% in phase 9, and everything else is 5%. Yeah. So, when setting up the game, you have 2 options for how to do it. You can pick the first player setup, in which of the 4 decks, you select the Hops deck and the Beginner Gateway deck. And I'll talk about what the decks mean a little bit later. Or you can choose these particular decks randomly. Now, the bonus deck and the points deck are always the same. Those never change. Although, obviously, what's in them does change. I'm going to shuffle things up. Just because I feel better if I shuffle. Like, I know the mods are going to shuffle it too, but I like things being really, really shuffled. And the cards are really at the heart of Hallertau. Like, they're at the heart of Agricola, but they're even more important in Hallertau, arguably. And we'll talk about that more when I've actually set up the game. I'm going to go ahead and pick the random setup because I just find it more enjoyable to play the game with when I don't know what's coming. But I highly recommend for your very first game by yourself or with your friends that you click on the setup button first. And it'll give you the default first play, and it'll let you go ahead and get started. But I'm going to click random instead. Boop. And there we go. Let's talk about one specific card here. The Quadrant deck. Really? I play this game probably... Wait, what? Okay, it's fine. I've probably played this game like 5 times over the past 2 days, because I keep making small mistakes. And every single time, the first one I've gotten has been Quadrant 1. Oh, well. So what these Quadrant cards do is they basically make the worker placement portion of the game more or less crowded. In this particular case, when the game starts, there's 1 worker at the bottom of every space. Here, we clear out Quadrant 1, which is these spaces. So that's kind of what we're looking at. We've got the Advanced Gateway deck, and we've got the Jewelry Farmyard deck. Interesting. Okay. So the worker placement aspect of the game is quite simple. Every space on the board can be visited 3 times, but it's important to remember that you won't always be clearing off every worker, unless you're playing a 4-player game. But in a 1-player game, you only clear out 1 quadrant, which in this case is this one. So, how do I use my workers to do extra things? Quite simply. If I want to do clay delivery once, it costs me 1 worker. If I want to do it twice, it costs me 2 workers. And then, logically, it also costs you 3 to do it that 3rd time. In addition to the 16 basic worker placement spots, there's 4 additional ones which just allow you to claim first player and draw a card. I don't care about first player because I'm always the first player. But I will acknowledge that you may want to come here to draw cards, because cards are really what make this game special. And let's talk about the cards in our hand now. So at the beginning of the game, you receive 4 gateway cards, and you get 1 points card. And cards work basically in one of 2 categories. There's a third category that rarely comes up. If it does, I'll bring it up. Otherwise, I'll probably pass. Numero uno. This is the points card because it's worth points at the end of the game. Specifically, I have to have 4 jewelry and sacrifice them in order to get my 12 points. I know this because of the great big golden arrow in the center of the card. Conversely, this lovely card here, and I do mean lovely, lets me turn 6, 11, or 16 barley into 1, 2, or 3, tools. I don't know why I couldn't remember the name, tools. And I get to draw a bonus card. My other cards are quite simple. I can, remember, I don't have to cash this grain in, this barley in, I just have to have it when I play the card. You can play a card anytime your heart desires, between phases, when another player is taking their turn, although be considerate. If you're playing a 4-player game and you see that the person taking their worker placement turn is really thinking, and you have a card that you just realize, oh, I can play this card, just ask them. Be a good player, be a nice person, and you'll be happier. These 2 cards are very interesting. The number in the window refers to the community center, which tells you how many workers you get. So this says if I have 6 flax, I can get 3 rye. Or if I have a total of hides and wool equal to 6, I could get 3 meat. And that's what these cards do. Your hand limit is infinite. You can have as many cards as you want to. And you will get 1 extra card every turn, or every round, rather, thanks to the Farmyard cards that are actually on your stable here. So we've talked about gateway decks, which are the cards in our hand. They're called gateway cards because they're relatively simple to accomplish. Generally, you can do them in the first couple of turns, but they lead you to bonuses that can then lead you to other interesting things. They're gateways to something else. The Farmyard cards are kind of serve as a more advanced version of the gateway card in that they generally lead you to something else. I'm just going to grab one at random and then reshuffle the deck. So here's an example one. And notice it tends to focus more on things about the farm itself. This one here says if I have 4 sheep and either 7, 5, 4, or 3 fields max, I can get a level 2, 3, 4, or 5 field for free. Those are all things that improve your farmyard or involve your farmyard in some way. This is the bonus deck. The bonus deck is a way to get you a persistent bonus for the rest of the game. They also generally, but not always, are worth points. Bonus cards are really important to get early on in the game, if you can, so that you get the maximum level of benefit out of those bonus cards. Last but not least, we have the point deck, which earns you points if you complete what's on the card. Almost always involving cashing something in. This is a really great deal because ordinarily 4 wealth would be 4 jewelry would be worth 4 points. Here it's worth 12. Excuse me. One last thing before I actually start playing the game. Final scoring. In the solo game, unlike all the other versions of the game, you're trying to achieve a specific point target, which is 100 points. This is pretty tricky. The last couple times I've played this, I've finished in the 70 to 80 point range. And I've almost instantly, when I finished the game, realized there was things I could have done better and more efficiently to get more points. There are 5 sources of points in the game. First of all, your community center. Once these craft buildings get to the left of these, you get points. But more importantly, I'm going to move this for a minute. You'll notice if you can push the community center all the way to the right, that's 70 points. That is absolutely bonkers. And probably no aspect of the game offers you a better chance for points than the community center. One moment. That's better. My throat was really dry and I need some water. So this is probably your biggest source of points throughout the game. You can very easily, I mean, I shouldn't say easily, it's still challenging. But if you're smart, you could definitely get 100 points just on the community center alone. I mean, think about this, right? There's 9 points in each of these 5 columns. That's 45 points. Right? Yeah. 45 plus 70 is 115. That destroys the 100-point barrier if you were able to push us all the way to the right. That's certainly not easy, though. And we'll talk about why as we play the game. Next, every sheep in your stable at the end of the game is worth a point. Every jewelry that you own at the end of the game is worth a point. Your tools, fields, and goods are added up into one clump and divided by 5, and you get a point for each of those. And lastly, any cards that you've played, not in your hand that you've played, that have a point total on them are added in as well. That's how you earn points. Okay. We're ready to play. So let's go over to phase 1. Oh, it's done for us already. Great. Phase 2. We take this card off the board, and we don't put it in our hands yet. That comes at the end of the round. The reason we remove the card, though, is first of all, it gives us a place to put our sheep. And second, it tells us how much it's going to cost us to move these craft buildings when we get to phase 9. Okay. Then we go to step 3. Well, I don't have any bonus cards, so that's done. And now we get to the heart of the game, which is placing our workers. So let's talk about what we're going to want to do strategically. These craft buildings are the heart and soul of the game. They give you more workers. They give you points. You want to be very active in moving them. And that means something very important. It means looking at these tiles carefully and planning your strategy based on those, or other free stuff that you can get. There's a couple things we're going to want to focus on. Numero uno. We're going to need bricks in the early part of the game. Once you reveal later rounds, you'll notice that you get a bonus if you use more than one type of good. But the carpentry and brewhouse specifically tell a different story, which is that you have to use clay, I'm just going to call them bricks, or barley in order to move these until round 3. No, even in round 3, it's silly to do that. No, you can't do it. It's got to be round 4. Yeah, there it is. In which case, you could spend, say, 2 clay and 1 rye, or 2 barley and 1 hop. So, it is what it is. But it's important to keep in mind. And it definitely makes clay really valuable, and rye a little bit less valuable. One of the things I find ironic about the game, but maybe it's intentional, is that hops are pretty much worthless. There are so few situations, and when you're like, man, I wish I had some hops, that, yeah, basically, unless a card wants you to get hops, you generally don't want hops. Which may sound counterintuitive, because the whole theme of the game is we're in the biggest hops producing area in Germany. But maybe that's intentional, right? Maybe the idea is like, everyone else has hops, great. We want you to grow the other stuff that we need. Maybe that's it. For these others, though, you can take your pick. And when you get to the point where there's discounts, that's going to be more valuable. So while rye isn't so great in the first round or 2, starting in round 3, rye is a great way to ease off your reliance on barley. And then we have flax. Meat and milk, this is one of the things that I always forget about when I'm playing the game. Getting meat and milk is actually pretty difficult. Meat especially. Milk isn't that bad. You can get milk from sheep. But the only way to really get a large quantity of meat is to kill a sheep. So that's something we're going to want to be thinking about as we play the game. So all this is to say this is going to affect my strategy. And one thing I really want to do is get a lot of barley as soon as possible. Because holy shit, this is an amazing way to get tools. Otherwise, the only way to get a tool is to just turn a worker into a tool. And while sometimes that's really smart, for the most part, it isn't. So my goal is to get... can I get 16 barley? It'd be tricky. Oh, did I shuffle the Farmyard deck? Let me shuffle the Farmyard deck again. Just in case. I could probably no, I don't think I can get 16 barley. I think the best I could do... I basically have to do nothing else this first round. And that's going to be problematic, because then I can't move the buildings. Let's see how things go. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to want to do, nice and early, is get some clay. And there's a couple ways that I can do this. One, I could go to clay delivery. That's a really inefficient action. It's one worker for one clay, whereas I can get 3 clay for 2 workers up here. But this gets a really valuable spot later in the game. Because 6 clay for 1 worker is redonkulous. That's the official term, by the way. I could come here to the tool shed and get 4 clay, or a level 4 field. I could sell some of my lane to get 1 wealth and 3 clay. Or we can do the nursery and get 3 clay and 3 crops. I want to start hoarding barley at some point, which means I need more fields. So I'm going to go to the clearing here. 1 worker from 1 clay isn't great. But 2 workers for a field and a clay is actually a little bit better. Alright, and then I get a level 2 field. These fields will automatically go up over time. That's an important thing to remember. The next thing I'd like to do is I'd like to get some barley planted. I could plant 4 fields. My problem is I only have 3 crops. Okay. I'm going to do a small trade next. I get 2 crops of my choice. I know I just said that hops aren't that great, but it's better to have a supply of hops than to not have them. So I'm going to go ahead and take 1 hop, and I'm going to take another barley. No, that's dumb. I'm not going to take a hop. What's wrong with me? I'll just take 3 barley, or 2 barley, so that I have a total of 3. Done. I then get to choose milk or wool. Milk is one of the best ways to get sheep. And it can be used in the cooling house, so I'm going to take milk over wool. And then I could have a sheep live longer, but I don't have any sheep, so this action is kind of wasted. This was about getting the 2 crops, so that the next thing I can do is do farming and plant 4 fields. Planting a field could not be easier. 1, 2, drop this down to 1, 3, oops, You can't make hides in a farm. That's not how farming works. 3. Done. I have 1 worker left. And let's consider my options here with only 1 worker. Option 1. Sheep breeding. But I can't do that. I could go there, but that would be silly because I don't have enough milk. I basically just go to the spot to block it, which doesn't make any sense because the person I'd be blocking is me. So that's dumb. Sheep shearing. Again, no sheep. 1 more clay. Maybe. A gateway card. Kind of tempting, to be honest. Or we get a tool. And one of the keys to success is moving your community center as much as possible, which does mean getting tools. But I can guarantee myself at least 1 tool by playing this card. Damn, game. What a tough decision. I'm going to draw a card. I'm going to use this card a little bit less efficiently. Yes. I'm going to draw another gateway card. So I'm going to come over here. I also would get the first player token, but I never lose it. 8 crops of the same type as a free sheep. Oh, dang. Oh, I wish I had 1 more barley. Oh, I'll be able to play that next turn. That's fine. Okay. So, all my workers are gone. It's now time to do the rest of the phases. Phase number 5, I finally get to draw my Farmyard card. And this says, if I pay 1 rye per Farmyard card on my stable board without sheep. Ouch. That's not... I mean... at least, like, rye isn't that hard to come by. I can farm it. That's not... I just can't play it now, is the big issue. Because I won't have enough rye because I have 0 rye right now, technically. Step 6. Any empty fields become fallow, so they become more fertile. I don't have any empty fields, so now we're going to harvest. And watch the beauty of harvesting. Boop, 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 boop. And then they all move down a row, except for anything in level 2, which doesn't move down. And yeah, harvesting is now done. Now, I can play cards anytime I want to. I really want at least 1 tool, so I'm going to go ahead and play this bad boy to get 1 tool. It's not the most efficient play, and I could hold on to the card, but I'm hoping that we get lucky, and that we can play this bonus card we're about to draw immediately. Ooh. 1 wealth and 1 tool, or 1 jewelry, 1 tool. I'll call jewelry wealth all the time, I'm sorry. Is 1 flax and 1 wool every turn for the rest of the game. And 4 points. That's actually a pretty tempting offer. I can't do it now because I don't have any jewelry yet. And I will say that getting jewelry is actually pretty annoying. Because the only way to really get a decent number of it is to actually hurt yourself. I might do a land sale next turn and just sell like one of these crappy level 2s or whatever to get a jewelry and 3 clay. That's not terrible. But I really don't like this action. You'd have to be thinking really, really hard before I would even consider for a split second going to the town hall. That's just my opinion, though. Okay. So, I don't have any sheep, so phase 8 doesn't happen. Now we go to phase 9. So, let's start moving craft buildings. As a reminder, it costs 1 good to move a building 1 space. We go to carpentry. They want a brick. I have a brick. Brick gone. Building moved. Brew house. I need 1 barley. I do have 8 barley. Hang on. We're going to slightly change the order of things. I'm going to play this card. I'm going to say that I played it in phase 7 so that I can go ahead and get some milk for free. And I get a sheep. Sorry about that. I didn't even realize I actually had 8 barley. You're probably all laughing at me. But yeah, that's what happens. Okay. So, important thing for sheep. Sheep go in the empty space that's farthest for that particular round. And then they just kind of wander off into another pen. If I get to round 4, this sheep dies. And I get nothing for them. So that gives me 2 choices. I can either try to prolong the sheep's life by shearing it more regularly. Or I butcher the sheep, or I lose a sheep and get nothing. Which is obviously the worst of the 3 choices. But that actually gets me a milk, which means I can get another sheep next turn. That's why I wanted to make sure I changed the order slightly. Sorry about that. I don't like going back, but that was an easy thing. And I just missed it. If I'd been looking up here, I would have seen it. Oh well. Now, brew house. I'm going to spend this lone barley. And push it 1 to the right. Cooling house. I will spend a milk, thank you very much. 1 to the right. Bake house. I'm going to spend another barley just because I have so much of it. Manufacture. I'm going to spend flax because I have to. I don't have hides or wool yet. So, at this point, we move the community center to the right. And you'll see the next turn, I'll get 7 workers. Hooray. This will also be a bit trickier, though. So, whatever. Now, I could theoretically spend more resources, but these darn boulders are in the way. That's where tools come in. I'm going to exhaust this tool. For rounds 1 through 5, you exhaust the tools. Or round 6, you actually lose the tool. I can move any other boulder 1 to the left. Or right, rather. And I have so much barley right now. I'm going to go ahead and move the brew house. And spend another barley to move that over. I kind of wish we had more tools, but we don't. Oh well. But don't worry, these boulders are actually going to move in the very last phase. But I don't do the last phase. I click the button to end my turn. And I hit next round. And it did it for me. Hooray. And I drew a new Quadrant card, which cleared up Quadrant 4. Which is actually really great, because that's something I was planning to do anyway. And now we start the whole circle again. Phase 2, again, I claim this card. I don't get to draw it yet, but I get to claim it. No bonuses yet, and now I get to play my workers. So, I'm really happy that Quadrant 4 opened up, because it gives me a lot of options to get really heavy into farming, get some more sheep. I'm pretty excited that this is the quadrant of all the quadrants that got cleared out. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to sell some of my land. This is going to cost me 1 Triscuit cracker, 1 field. Goodbye, field. And then I gain 1 jewelry and 3 clay. Jewelry does have one other use, by the way. You can spend it to move a building, regardless of how much it would cost to move that building. But I've got other plans for that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and play this card now. I give up the jewelry I just got, and I lose my tool. But now, for the next 4 rounds, I get a free flax and a free wool, and 4 points at the end of the game. That's a worthwhile sacrifice to me. All right, next up, we're going to get ourselves a sheep and a hide. My sheep friend comes over to here. He then goes, oh, right, I want to go here. And I get my first hide. I really want to make sure we plant more, but I want to make sure that the fields are as fertile as they can be. Do I not get a tool this turn? Because I have 4 workers left. I'm thinking I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Not enough to do that. Yeah, I don't have to do that. I'll think about what I'm going to do in a minute here, though. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the tool shed. Not for the clay, but for the level 4 field. I'm then going to do fertilizing. I get to put 2 empty fields all the way up to row 5. And I get to plant 1 of them. If I can get 7 flax, that's actually really helpful at this point. I won't be able to do that till next turn at the earliest, though. So which field do I want to plant? It's going to be barley. I'm sorry, barley is boring, but it's just the best thing to have planted. Now I have 3 workers left. What do I want to do with my remaining workers? And golly, I don't have enough to move everything, but I will soon because I'm going to get I'd like to plant this field. I wish I had a way to plant it, but I don't. All right. Let me do the next thing I was definitely going to do no matter what, which is I was going to come over to sheep shearing. That's going to get me 2 wool. And sheep number 5 here. Wait a minute, I can get 3 milk? Wait just a minute. That's actually way better. Remember, rye's not very useful in the early game. I currently would need to spend 2 rye, because there's 2 stable cards that don't have sheep on them. Done. And then I get to play this card, and I get 3 milk. And I get to draw a bonus card. Is that a bonus card or is that a gateway card? That's a bonus card because the one with the well on it is the bonus. Oh, dang. I'm going to have to think about that one. But this means I can also get more sheep. To have enough stuff to move everything. I don't have enough flax. But I will have enough wool. So I can move that. I'll have barley. I'll have milk. And I have clay. Yeah. Let's do that instead. So I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to turn 4 milk into 2 sheep. Both of which go there, and then they go down here. And my last worker is going to come over here. And I now get 4 wool. And I get to save a sheep. So I'm going to push this sheep over onto this card. Now. Yeah, that's too good. Getting a gateway card at the beginning of every single round for 4 rounds is fantastic. And it's 3 points. So as much as this pains me, card, spent, and I play that card, and you all die now. That's worth it. 100%. If not only for the points are nice, but getting a gateway card out for 4 straight rounds is going to be really helpful. It's going to get us some extra stuff. And stuff is good. Okie dokie. So, phase 5, we collect the Farmyard card. A way to get wealth? That's intriguing. That's very intriguing. I like that. Gotta maybe get me some hides, but yeah, that's really good. I like that card a lot. Then phase 6. Empty fields move up. Next turn's going to be a big farming turn, I think. And one gets to moved up twice. And then I harvest my barley and move it down. I get 1 milk per sheepy deepy. That's 4 milk. And then I get to do step 9. So, let's do the easy stuff. Clay, gonna cost me 2 clay. 1, 2. Move to the right. Because remember, it's now 2 goods. 2 barley in the brew house to move that again. I don't have to, but I'm gonna. 2 to move that. 2 more barley to move you, and then 2 wool to move the manufacture. If I had a tool, I could try to move the boulders, but I don't, so I'll just take another worker, thank you. Phase 9 is done, so I hit button and button, and it is now round 3. We've actually just cleared out, because it's either picks 1 or 2 randomly. It looks like we're going to do 2. So this is now open again. All right. So, phase 2. Again, take the Farmyard card. Phase 3, activate bonus cards. I get to do stuff now. Hooray. So I get 1 wool and 1 flax. And I get to draw a gateway card. Nice. Oh, that's beautiful. I like that. I just got to get me some rye. And plant some rye, maybe plant... Yeah, that's really good. That's a nice card. Now we do phase 4. Time to put in the work. Do note now, we're up to the discount phase now, where I either spend 3 goods of one type or 2 goods of 2 types. So this is when some of these other goods start to become more valuable. Busy weekend is great. I like the idea of busy weekend. I also want to get some crops. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Okay. So we're going to go to busy weekend first. I'm going to claim a milk. Oh, you can go there. That's fine. And then I get to plant 2 fields. And if you said, Avi, you're going to make them both barley, aren't you? You're right. Then I'm going to come over to the nursery. I get 3 crops of my choice. And I'm going to go ahead and take 2 rye. And 1 more flax. 1 more flax, 1 more flax. There we go. I don't have enough clay yet to actually do the thing. I definitely want at least 5 of each, because that way I can get some stuff done there. For 1 more milk, I can get 2 more sheep. So I'm going to do busy weekend again. Claim another milk. And I'm going to plant, I think, rye and flax. So drop down, flax and rye. I'm going to put 2 more over to sheep breeding. I'm going to turn all of my milk into more sheep. So he goes 1 and 2. I now have 2 workers left. I cannot move the carpentry unless I get more clay. I've got... No, actually, I don't have a way to get 1 clay anymore because I planted some of my rye. Oh, well. I can get 3 clay for 1 worker right here. Done. Easy choice. What do I do with my last worker? I'm not going to go to the town hall. I'm not going to go to the butcher yet, but I'll probably go there next turn. Do I want to draw another card? Or do I want a tool? I don't have any way to get tools right now, so I am going to go ahead and turn him into a tool. So the worker goes there, and I take a tool. Phase 4 complete. Phase 5, collect my card. If I have 2, 6, or 10 tools, I can get 0, 1, or 2 jewelry and a hide. That's pretty great. I like that. Then we go to step 6, but none of my fields are empty. So now we harvest. They all move down. 1 milk per sheep. That then gives me 6 milk. And can I do anything here yet? I have planned for this flax, otherwise I would definitely do this. But I'm going to wait. Oh, but I could play this card. Because I have 5 of each of those. And 1 hop and another clay, plus another bonus card is actually pretty spicy. I don't have to give anything up. That's even better. And another clay. And then I get to draw. It's a bonus card, right? I only get to draw 1. That's fine. If I have 7 flax, I can get a flax every turn. Done. And again, notice I don't have to spend it. Because spending 7 flax for 1 flax would be stupid as shit. But it's 3 points and a flax for 3 turns. That's pretty good. I like that. I got my milk already, right? I sure did. Now we're going to move buildings. It is going to cost me 3 bricks. Yes, it says 2 goods using 2 types, so that's 1 good of each type. I can't do that because 1 isn't greater than 1. 1 is equal to 1. So it's going to cost me 3 bricks to move here. It's going to cost me 3 barley. I'm just going to remove this one from the board to go here. Here's where it can get a little more efficient. Sadly, though, I don't have any meat yet, so we're just going to go ahead and drop that to 2 and move that. All right. 1 rye and 1 barley. Easy. Done. And let's do 1 wool and 1 flax. Done. Move the community center. That's going to be 9 workers next turn. Very exciting. I'm going to go ahead and exhaust my tool this turn because there's no reason not to. And I think we're going to move the bakehouse again. And again, we're going to spend 1 rye and 1 barley. Done with phase 9. Phase 10, we go click and click. Wait, what? Why did not? Oh, because I have to do them manually. That's why. That's refreshed. So we get to do our bonus cards first. So I'm going to get 2 flax and a wool. Two flax and a wool. And a gateway card. 1, 2, or 4 hides into 1, 2, or 3 tools. Are you kidding me, game? That sounds fantastic. I like that a lot. Which quadrant got cleared out, by the way? Looks like 4. Very nice. Alright, so now I get to start placing workers after I draw this card, of course. We're in phase 4 now. 4 goods or 3 goods using any 2 types. So, first layup decision to make. Sheep market. So, this sheep would go here, but the arrow tells him this sheep is safe. Nothing will happen to this poor sheep. He is going to be with me for the entire game. Nice. And I get a hide. Because I'm going to get this card played nice and soon here. I have a total of 3 sheep. No, I have 4 sheep here. Right? Yeah. I either want to save them or butcher them. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get while the getting is good. I'm going to get me 7 wool. Okay, did count that. Great. So we put 1 and 5, and then we put 1 and 2. See what I mean about wool getting easier to get as the game goes on? And I get to push 1 sheep ahead around, so that we don't have to lose him. There we go. Got 3 left. We're going to turn 1 into lamb chops. And that is going to earn me 4 meat and 2 hides. I'm just going to pick up a sheep and put it down. That'll force it to recalculate. And I'm back to 6. 4 meat and 2 hides. And oh, look who has 4 hides. I get 3 tools. No, I could trade in those 4 hides right now to get 2 wealth. That's stupid. I can just make flax. So I'm going to go ahead and take 7 flax. And turn it into 2 wealth. That's going to also have me draw another bonus card. 3 hops for 1 tool for 2 more turns for free. Yes, please. I need to actually grow hops this turn then. Okay. Let's do my classic favorite, fertilizing. So we're going to go 1, 2. And I get to plant 1 of them, and I'm going to plant hops. But I really need to do some more planting. What do I have left? I have 4 workers left. I also need clay. And I need to plant rye and barley. Alright. Busy weekend is too expensive. I'm not going to go to busy weekend to plant. I could go to farming, though. That's good. I'll go to farming. And then I can plant. It's still not maximum efficiency. But, you know, whatever. So I'm only going to need to plant 3 fields, right? So we're going to go flax, rye, and barley. All right. Do I want 2 tools? No, I don't. We are going to lose 2 sheep. So butchering again isn't the worst decision, but we're short on clay. So I'm going to go to the tool shed and get us some more clay. And that's going to be 4 of it. Okay, possibilities here. Draw a point card. I do need more points. Or draw a Farmyard card. I'm not that bothered by a Farmyard card. Can Farmyard cards give you tools? I think it's early on in the manual. It explains what the purpose of each card is. I know I said something earlier, but I'm not 100% positive about what Farmyard cards are meant for. Okay. I'm not seeing it yet. I think it's right before they start introducing what the cards do that it tells, like, what they do. Oh, there we go. That's how they do it. Let's jump ahead to page 18. Okay, that's Expert Deck. Farmyard Cards. So you actually have to pay in order to get something. That's what makes them different. Okay, that was it. Gateways never cost anything. Farmyard Cards sometimes do. Okay. So how do I want to spend my last worker? If I get a 5th tool, I'll then have the 6 I need next turn. But then the bonus would only be good for 1 round. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn you into a tool. Because then when I play this card with my hops, I'm going to get the 6th tool that I need to play this card, get 1 wealth and 1 hide, and draw a bonus card. And that bonus card might be something I can play right away. So we'll see what happens there. Alright, phase 4 is done. Phase 5, collect my Farmyard card. If any action space is fully occupied, I get a sheep and a level 2 field. That's pretty great, actually. I might do that next turn. I'm not going to do it now, obviously, but that's actually not terrible. That's a decent payment. Empty rows go up. I don't have any, so we just harvest. Move down. If you're playing the game by yourself, don't forget to move the fields down. It's an easy step to miss when you harvest them. I get 1 milk per sheep. That is going to be good for 6 more milk. There you go. Sorry, I don't have... This is getting really crowded. It won't be for long, but it is getting really crowded. And then I get to move my stuff. But first of all, I'm going to go ahead and cash in my 3 hops. Drop down to 2. so that I get a tool every turn. Oh shoot, that's at the bonus phase. Yeah, which means I won't be able to do this until the end of until after the bonus phase. That's annoying. Oh well. Right. That's fine. I don't really care. Okay. So we're gonna start moving stuff now. This is the first round where I can actually start saving on clay by using rye. So I'm gonna spend 2 clay and a rye to move you over. I'm gonna spend 2 barley and a hop to move the brew house. I'm gonna spend 2 milk and a meat to move the cooling house. And I'm going to spend 1 hide, 1 flax, and 1 wool. 1 wool, 1 hide, 1 flax to move this. Now, I have enough tools. I could theoretically move this twice. Let's move it once for now. Do we have enough resources? Let's find out. So, exhausting tool number 1. I'm going to put it over here as a reminder that I exhausted it. Move this boulder. That's going to cost me 2 more clay and 1 more rye. Goodbye rye. Goodbye clay. Over. I definitely can do the cooling house. Again, 2 milk. 1 meat. I don't have to move the bakehouse boulder again, so I'll just go ahead and spend 1 of each. Or 1 flax. What I can't do 1 of each down there. I needed to use 2 flax, and then I guess I'll take a hide back. Because you can only spend up to 2 types. You can't spend 3. Anyway, so 1 rye. And 2 barley. Move that. Spend another. Push this boulder over. And that's going to be hides, flax, or wool. I'm going to spend 2 wool and a hide. Move this again. Guys, I still have 2 tools left. I want this to be a giant turn. So I'm going to move the brew house. Spend 2 more barley. And lose the last of my hops. And I'll move the cooling house again. I can't. I'd have to be able to move 2 boulders, which I can't. So the only place I can improve would be the bakehouse. Fine. Move that, move that. And I'm going to spend 1 rye and 2 barley. Brilliant. Okay. Okay. We are in round 5 now. But remember, we always follow the rules in order. Unfortunately, 2 of our sheep are dead. They got old. Poor sheeps. But I do get some bonuses So I get 2 flax and a wool. Want some rye? Course you do. That's a reference most people won't get. If you did get that reference that I just made, feel free to post it in the comments. I haven't played that game in decades, really. That's the tool, and then my gateway card. If I have 1, 2, or 3 meat, I get 1, 2, or 3 milk. I'll take 2 milk. I'll play that now. So notice, for the first time, I can use 3 types of goods. So these start to get quite a bit cheaper. That'll be good. Alright. We now start placing our workers. Which quadrant got wiped out? Quadrant 2, up here. Okay. Alright. Yep. I'm going to turn 3 workers over to sheep breeding. I'm going to spend 4 of my milk and get 2 more sheep who instantly just go down here. Because remember, they go to the stable, then they wander off into the good part. And now I can play this card, which I will. That gets me an extra bonus sheep. 1 sheep, 2 sheep. 3 sheep. Oh, sorry. Ba-dum-bum. I get another field. Brilliant. Now what do I do with this turn? Alright, we need to start getting stuff planted to get more stuff. Again, we find ourselves low on clay. If we use 2 types, it's 4 goods, which means I have to only use clay and barley for the carpentry and brew house again. Right? No, I can't, because I could just use 3 in 1 and 3 in 1. But I definitely need more clay. That is for sure. So I'm going to spend 2 workers to get 5 clay. Because it's round 5. That's a pretty good deal. And boop. I'm going to spend 2 workers to do some more fertilizing. Hope that doesn't mean we're, like, killing the workers. Oh dear, I didn't even think of that. We're just, like, cutting their heads off with, like, a hoe and then burying them in the ground to fertilize. That got really dark. I don't know if it's in my headcanon or not now. Maybe. Definitely barley. We're actually running low on barley, funnily enough. Barley is still, like, the king good. And I wouldn't mind some more rye. Because rye is now getting increasingly valuable. Okie dokie. I am going to lose some sheep if I don't find a way to save them. Yeah, I kind of wanted to get another tool this turn, but I don't think it's that big a deal. Instead, oh, how am I doing? Oh, shoot, I wanted to plant. Because I'm not really going to have enough of anything to really get some good movement happening. Poop. So I'm going to lose 3 sheep next round. Which is, of course, a problem. I'm going to go ahead and play this card now while I'm thinking about it, because otherwise, if I can't play this bonus card now, it's useless to me. Unless it's worth points, of course. So I'm going to get another wealth and 1 hide. And I'm going to draw a bonus card. I mean, I'll do it if I harvest some flax, but that's pretty silly. Like, oh boy, I get to turn flax into even more flax? Huh? Alright, I guess. So. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to plant this turn. I'm going to tell you why. Because then of these, all 3 will go up to level 5 for the last phase of the game. I won't get to play this card, but at least I'll still get the points. That's not terrible. Wait, how was I able to plant 2 fields? I did not plant 2 fields. I planted 1 field. That changes the calculus still further. So I had 2 rye. You go away now. That changes it quite a lot. I was going to try to save butcher sheep and save a sheep. I can't do that. I'm instead going to spend 3 workers to do farming. No, I'm going to send 2 workers to do cultivation. That's more efficient. Then I'll plant my rye. You go over there. I guess I'll plant some flax. Why not? And then do I just get even more barley and rye? Yeah, I'll get 1 more barley. Wait. Was I on 1 or 2 for barley? Okay, so I just drop it to 1. I don't remove it entirely. And then I remove the rye. There we go. Leaves me with 2 workers. Do I just go for silly amounts of clay? Perhaps? Alright, let me take this worker and I'm going to slaughter a sheep. Which is going to get me... It's 4 meat and 2 hides, right? Yeah, it's 4 meat and 2 hides. Okay. And I have 1 worker left. I want 4 wealth so I can get my 12 points. But I think right now I'm going to draw another point card. Done. I could turn 5 wealth or 10 sheep into 14 points. Intriguing. Okay. I can probably get some decent sheep next turn if I get lucky. which I may not. We'll see what happens, though. Okie dokie. So, phase 5, get the Farmyard card. I currently have a total of 12. I'll do that. So I get 2 clay, a hop, two more barley, and because I cashed it, I had 11. I had 12, but I get to draw a bonus card. Which is if I have 6 rye and 5 meat, I get 1 rye and 1 meat, and 4 points. I'm going to have that as soon as I harvest, so we'll just wait till we harvest. Okay, I don't have any empty fields, so I'm going to harvest. Barley, rye, rye, barley, flax. Everything moves down. I then get to go ahead and play 3 of my flax. To play that particular card. And I get to play this one. I don't have to spend anything except to have 6 rye and 5 meat, which I do. That's going to get me a rye and a meat every turn. Okie dokie. Next, I get my milk. That's going to be 6 more milk. So I'm going to bump you up to 3. Wait, hang on. Yeah, I'm just going to do a 5 and a 1. No, a 5 and push the 2 up into the 3. There we go. And now we go ahead and do our construction. Again, I'd like to move it twice, if I can manage it, which I think I could, but a lot's going to depend on the clay. So, okay. If I'm using 2 types, it's going to cost me 3 clay and 1 rye. There's my rye. There's my clay. Over. I wish I had hops, but I have loads of barley, so maybe it's not the end of the world. But at least initially here, I'm going to spend 3 barley and my single hop to move once. Cooling house, it's going to be 2 of each. Bakehouse, it's only 3. It's only 3 if I spend 3 types. I'm going to spend 1 flax, 1 rye, and 1 barley. And you, I will happily spend 1 more flax, 1 hide, and 1 wool. I definitely want to push everything 1 more time if I can. So, tool number 1. To push this boulder. That's then going to be 3 more clay and 1 more rye. I can handle that. A tool to push the cooling house's boulder. And again, I will happily spend 2 meat and 2 milk. A tool to push the manufacturers. So I don't use my last flax. I'm going to spend 2 hide and 2 wool. Because I need a flax in order to plant. And use that bonus I got. And then I still have 3 tools left. And this gets to move again. Right? Yeah. Let's spend a tool to move the bakehouse's boulder again. And again, 2 rye and 2 barley shall be spent. This is now worth an additional 3 points at the end of the game. Am I prepared to spend 5 barley to move the brew house again? I'm really not. I'm really not at all. I'm going to move the carpentry is better. Carpentry is much better. I'm going to spend 2. And that moves this boulder and then this boulder. And I'm going to spend again 3 clay for all of my remaining clay. And a rye. Beautiful. Okie dokie. Then we do step 10. So, all the tools come home. Damn it. I was hoping this would get cleared out so I could get 2 more sheep. Oh well. These sheep are no more. They are ex-sheep. That's a shame, but whatever. Okie dokie. Card. I get my bonuses. That's going to be good for 2 flax, one of which gets planted, so I'll just take 1 flax. 1 wool. A tool. A meat and a rye. And what else? And the gateway card. That's not terrible. I can definitely manage at least 5 and then get some wool and draw a card. I guess that's alright. Okie dokie. So, 12 glorious workers. We definitely want to get planting, and we want to get improving fields so that we can get the most bang for our buck. So that we can try to move the building later on. The reason you want to remove the boulders, by the way, is because you can push stuff to the left. And if you do that, you know, you can get some wealth out of it. I really need 1 more wealth. So I'm going to do this. I get a crappy field and 1 clay. Then I'm going to do this. I'm going to get rid of that exact same field I just got and collect 3 clay and get another wealth. Now, this wealth may well be much more valuable if I use it to just move buildings rather than cash it in for these point cards. It's a good question, and I don't know the answer to that. But as you can see, point totals can get pretty stupid if we can move this along. So that's something else to consider. Okay. I'd like to get more sheep. Oh well. Next step. It's going to cost me... I definitely need hops. I've been ignoring hops for way too long. So I'm going to come to the nursery, and I'm going to grab me... let's say a hop and 2 barley. That's not a bad idea. Yeah. I'm going to do fertilizing. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. Kick you up to 5 and you up to 5. And I get to plant one of them. I'm going to plant hops. Do I have exactly 3 fields left? I sure do. Brilliant. I'm going to do 2 more cultivation. And then that's going to be rye here. And then I think barley here and barley here. Three workers left, and I'm desperate to do anything that's going to guarantee me points. Well, the sheep is going to get me points. That's for sure. Meat goes up. Sheep just goes right to the pen down here. And I think I'll just do it again, to be honest with you. 2 more workers. It turns into another sheep and another meat. And there you go. I'm just going to do this just to get rid of one more thing off the board. There you go. Alright, I have 5 planted fields, so I'm going to go ahead and play this card now. That's going to get me 2 wool. Not that I care a huge amount about the wool. This is about the bonus card and possibly getting points off of it. 3 empty fields for 6 points is actually a brilliant trade. I can play it whenever I want to, right? I'm going to do it after I harvest. That's the big brain move right there. Because otherwise 3 fields are 3/5 of a point. This is 3 fields for 6 points. And yes, I'll never get the benefit of it, which is a free, awesome field. But the 6 points is worth it. Alright, we get the Farmyard card. I really don't like this card. I can't really do that right now. Basically, the next time I draw a card, I have to play that. And yeah, but, oh well. I'm not going to get to play that card. Empty fields go up. I don't have any, so we harvest instead. They all move down. I immediately then play this card, and I'm going to get rid of these 3 garbage cards. So I actually misspoke, because the fields are worth their rank. So this would be 3 plus 3 plus 2 is 8, which is 1 point. And now they're worth 6 points. Very happy about that. Okay, I get milk. That's going to be 6 more milk. Bump you up, chuck on a 5. And then we need to start moving stuff. So, beginning here. I'm going to spend 3 clay. 1, 2, 3. And 2 rye to move the carpentry. Brew house is going to be... Let's go for 3 and 2. 3 barley and 2 hops. Cooling house... I have way more milk than meat, so we'll do 3 milk and 2 meat. The bakehouse, I use 3 goods, it only cost me 4. So I'm going to spend a flax, because you only ever spend 1. And then I'm going to do 2 barley and a rye. Oops. There we go. And then lastly, I will happily spend 2 hides, 1 wool, and a flax. Boom. Now we're up to 34 points. The question is, can we move the building again? Because then it becomes worth 50, and we can even get up to 70 if we can move it twice more. I don't think we can move it twice more, though, because we don't have enough clay. I don't have another way to get clay. Oh, but I've got all this wealth. That's so much more valuable than cashing in 4 wealth for 12 points. That'd be worth a lot more. So, now any tool we spent is now gone. We don't get any... We can't use it again, which is fine. Let's start with the stuff we can move without spending wealth easily. So I'm going to spend a tool. I'm going to push the boulder. And I'm going to spend a flax. A hide. And 2 wool. 1, 2. Moved. Cooling house. Get rid of a tool. Meat and milk is going to be 5 total. Again, 3 milk, 2 meat. Brew house. Sacrifice a tool. Three barley, 2 hops. What the hell? That was weird. Now, here's the big question. It's spending 4 tools for 20 points. That was actually an easy calculation to just do in my head. Or 4 wealth, rather. The question is, do I have enough tools to move all the boulders? And the fact is that I don't. So then, okay. then the calculus changes. There's nothing I can do to get 5 completed because I don't have enough tools to move the boulders. I'm going to check really quickly here just to make sure that when they get pushed off the board in step 6, they don't disappear. Because if they do, that changes everything. That's going to be page 15. Nope. Guess again, me. Here we go. One more page, please. I basically need to get to phase 9 because that's where it's going to tell me. Oh, there we go. Once the boulder's off the board, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, that changes things again. I'm glad I looked that up. So what that means is, it would still cost me 5 tools. And I don't have 5 tools. I have 4. So here's the question. The 4 wilts is going to be worth 12 points no matter what. Which is fine. There's certainly nothing to sneeze at about 12 points. If I had a 5th tool right now, if I had a way to get a 5th tool, I could get the maximum 70 points off the community center. It is what it is, though. The question is just, how do I want to get my 12 points? Do I want to get it through a card or get it through the community center? I'm just going to cash them in for the 4 points. I could potentially do both. Alright, so I'm going to cash in my 4 jewelry to get 12 points. Because that's a guarantee. I don't know why I deleted that. You're just supposed to set it to 0, but whatever. It doesn't matter. But I can still try to improve some of these buildings. Do I have enough resources? I can do the cooling house again. For sure. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to cash in this tool. Move the boulder off the board. And I'm going to spend all of my remaining milk plus 1 meat. Okay. I can move the bakehouse again. Yes, I will move the bakehouse again. That's going to cost me 1 rye. 1 flax. And the rest I'm going to spend in barley, which is going to be 3. Done. And the manufacture. I think I have enough to do it, which I do. Again, push it off the board. That's going to cost me a flax. I don't have any hides, so I'm just going to spend the rest is going to be 4 wool. I have 1 tool left. but I don't have enough goods to do anything else. So the tool's just going to be worth like a tiny bit at the end of the game. There are no boulders. We get this in step 6. So this means that the game is now concluded. It's time to tally up the score. Here's my phone. I'm going to do the calculator. Actually, I probably shouldn't need the calculator because the most irritating part is... Oh, I can just use the text tool here. There we go. So we're going to go click. So the community center is worth 50. I'll just use the rule book. It's fine. So that's going to be worth 50 because that's what appears in the window. Plus I removed the community center and I get all of these points too. So that's 6, 12, 21. We'll do it this way. It's easier. 15, 30, 39. That's pretty sweet. That's a great start. All right, next up is the sheep. Sheep are 6 points. Next is wealth. I don't have any, so that's 0. Which is perfectly understandable. 1 point for wealth is pretty much like a pity prize. It's actually kind of terrible, all things considered, to waste your resources on that. And then we get everything we have here, we add up and divide by 5. Except for the sheep, because they don't get counted twice. So, total goods is 2... What is with this tool here? Oh, it's just an extra tool I get, because I didn't spend the last tool because I couldn't spend any resources, so he's supposed to be there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15, 19. That's worth 19 divided by 5 is 3 and a bit. So that's going to be 3 points for stuff. At this point, I'm at 98 points. And my goal was 100. And we haven't gotten into my biggest single thing of points, which is going to be all these cards. 3, 6, 10, 13, 16, 20, 26, 38. Friends, the goal was 100 points. We got 136. We crushed it. We destroyed it. And that concludes Hallertau. I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple aspects of the game that and talk about this versus Agricola, and then we'll wrap it up for today. This was fun, though. First of all, one thing I don't love about the game so much is there's not really multiple paths to victory. Unlike Agricola or any of the other games. What do I mean by that? The community center is worth so many points, like stupidly huge numbers of points, that if you're not spending most of your time moving the community center, you're going to lose the game. Now, how you get the community center moved is where your strategy comes in. You could go hyper specialization and just get like 500 barley or whatever. It's even possible, if you just do nothing but plant goods and harvest them, to get a decent number of points that way. Never as much as the community center, though. That's one aspect of the game I don't like. When you're playing against other players, it's maybe a little bit less important, but still. I don't know if I like that. I like Agricola better in that specific sense because there's not one thing that gets you like billions of points. Everything gets you a few points, and you can specialize in 1 or 2 or 3 areas. In Hallertau, it's community center and then everything else. Although admittedly, my point cards were quite valuable, and I could see you doing a strategy where you only get point cards and just focus your entire game on trying to cash those in for points. Most point cards are worth anywhere from, I think, like 16 is the most, to like 5 points. It's theoretically possible, but the community center is definitely the best choice. Not only because it's worth the most points, but because it gets you workers. And more workers means doing more stuff, and in a worker placement game, doing more stuff is critical. So in that sense, I prefer Agricola. But otherwise, man, this game is so smooth. It's so easy to play. Agricola is not a hard game to play, but there's a lot to think about. In this game, there's also a good bit to think about, but it's not nearly as bad for analysis paralysis, because you don't have to mess with building fences and making sure that only the certain animals are in certain places. You just got to make sure that if you lose an animal, that wait, what? I don't have 6 sheep, do I? I just have 5. Oh no, I do have 6 sheep. Neat. Okay. What was I gonna say? So yeah. It's less on animal husbandry. Sheep are not a guaranteed path to victory, but they're certainly part of it. They're certainly part of your path to victory. But I can't see winning the game on sheep alone. There's just not enough ways to get sheep. Because if you do the math, if you get a sheep in round 1 and it survives till the end of the game, he's going to be worth 8 points. She will have generated 6 milk for you, which is a second point. So a sheep in round 1 is worth 2 points, if you want to think about it that way. You're never going to probably get more than, say, 10 sheep, unless you just get ridiculous farmyard or gateway cards that just give you masses of sheep. Which it is what it is. One thing I do like about the game is the tension between when to use your sheep. Because there's going to be times where you're going to want to butcher sheep so you don't lose them for nothing. And that's really cool. Or you can try to save your sheep by shearing them so they don't age. I don't think it's how sheep work, but I guess it's how the game works. Or a small trade. Every worker spot, with the exception of 1, has a lot of value in the game. High Town Hall. Now, I will acknowledge that you're basically sending a building to the left once to eventually possibly move it twice. So it's not the worst. But I'd really only do it if you had a pretty big lead and you were playing against other players. Like, I wouldn't use this. I don't use the Town Hall in the solo game. I think it's just not very smart. In my opinion. Oh, I just now noticed this. That's really cool. This little image in the top left and right of every space tells you what that does. Whether it's planting, or getting fields, or getting building materials. Nice. I like that a lot. But yeah. If someone said, hey, Avi, I've played games like Stardew Valley or whatever the latest farming game is there a farming board game you can recommend? I would say, yes, friend. Let's play ourselves some Hallertau. But then I would immediately, if they enjoyed it, I think I'd have them play Agricola and then let them make their own decision. I think the cards in this game are buttery smooth. I love that part of it. And I love that every card changes your strategy. And that's really what makes Hallertau an amazing farming game. Like, Agricola's got cards too. But the thing is, once you get your initial hand of cards, you never get any more. Here, you constantly get new cards from different ways, and that changes your strategy each time. Which I really, really enjoy. I like the idea of fields going fallow, so they become better, so you can basically sacrifice production now to get more production later. Yeah, it's just amazing. I really like Hallertau, and I highly recommend that you give it a try. Whether you do it through the mod that I'm going to put in the description, or whether you go out and pick up a copy of it. And I really think you should pick up a copy of it. It's not an Agricola killer. It's not even an Agricola all creatures big and small killer. It's an Agricola bonus, really. And it shows why, when it comes to farming games, you're not going to beat Uwe Rosenberg. You're just not. So that concludes our play of Hallertau. Next week, we're going to be staying in Germany, but going back in time a ways, as we play Hansa Teutonica, the big box version, which we'll talk about more next week. Until next time, just want to bask in my glory for one more second. 136 points. Until next time, though, this has been Avindian. Thank you for watching, and I bid you a good day. That was a terrible table flip. That was the worst.